Hello class and children, welcome back. Good morning. This is your Yogi sir teaching you English for online class. Today is Tuesday and as per your routine, you have English paper 2 or English literature to continue. I hope you all are safe and fine at home and carrying on with your preparations and doing your homeworks timely and regularly. And to tell you the happiest thing about a textbook treasure trove is we are in the last chapter. And after we complete this chapter, we have to write the notes on the chapters which we have completed, and thereafter we'll move on to the next book that we are left with. Right? It is the play, uh, The Merchant of Venice, written by William Shakespeare. So before we come to it, let us take the pleasure of the last chapter that we are doing. The last chapter that we are doing is The Blue Bit, written by Nora Burke. And in the story so far, she has told us about the life of the Guiza settlement, right? Where we saw, she also tells us about the dangerous reptiles like crocodiles found in the rivers, right? And we saw the protagonist of this story. She is a small girl of 10 to 12 years. She is Sibia. She is a Gujar woman. Uh, right from her toddling time to what age she is today, she has been working very hard, right, in the family. And she also accompanies her mother in a group of women to go to the other side of the river to fetch the paper grass, right? And uh, above all, we saw how hard work uh, Sibia does, right? She is a common girl like all other girls uh, in the country. Uh, she also has her wishes, her desires. Whenever she goes to the bazaar, the market, she sees so many varieties of things, and she wished to buy such things for her. But when she comes to check her pocket, she has no money, right? So her desires remain a desire, right? And these women are in the habit of wearing the bead necklaces, right? And these beads are not the actual beads; they are the seeds that they have collected in the forest. They collect those beads and then dry them, and thereafter they sieve it with the thread and a needle to make it a necklace, right? Sibia also has collected such beads for herself. She is also wishing to have a necklace or made of beads. But the problem with her and the family is the needle that they had in home had got snapped, had got broken. Now, until and unless the needle is uh, brought at home, uh, she is not able to make the bead necklace for herself, right? And we are on in the part where we see Sibia is now uh, going with her mother and a group of women to the other side of the river to get the paper grass. Now from there, what happens? We continue. So let's see, we are on page number 97, third paragraph to begin today. So see, chattering as they went. That means when this group of women walk along, they chit chat, they have a normal talk to one another. The women followed the dusty track toward the river. So they take the dusty track that leads them to reach to the river. Right? On their way, so when they are on their way to uh, go the other side of the river to cut the paper grass, they passed a Gujar encampment of grass huts. So they passed the Gujar encampment. Encampment means it's a settlement of the Gujar people, right? They live in a camp, like they live in a camp, you can say, right? Which is made of grass huts. I see. where these nomadic graziers are those people who rear cattle and flock of sheep, right? A herd of cattle and flock of sheep, right? So would leave for a time until the animals had perhaps finished all the easy grazing within reach. So these people, they live in a settlement till their animals have finished eating the green grasses found there, right? Or as long as the green grasses are available, these people to live in the settlement, and when they have finished the green grasses for their animals, they again shift their place. They go to another place where they are living, right? Or they were not able to sell enough of their white butter and white milk in the district. And the other reason that they changed their settlement is uh, when these people who live with the herd of cattle and flock of sheep, right, as long as the green grasses are available for their animals, they live there, right? And when the green grasses are grazed by these animals of theirs, they change the settlement, they go to next place, right? The next reason is when they have uh, found that there are no people buying their white butter and white milk, then they change their place. They go to next settlement. They go to next place to make their settlement. So see, in the district, or there was no one to buy the young male buffaloes for tiger bait, and sometimes these people also do change the settlement when they notice that their uh, young male buffaloes, right, are not purchased by the people who are troubled by the uh, you can say man eating tigers, right? And these Guza people, they change the settlement, right? These buffaloes are used for baiting the tigers, right? When the tigers are giving a lot of troubles to the people where they are living, right? And now they want to trap the tiger. So they use young buffaloes, male buffaloes, to trap these tigers. So it's called tiger bait, right? So when these are done, when these are over, they change their place. They go to next settlement to live their life, right? And they're also the same case, right? So, or perhaps a cattle killing tiger was making a nuisance of himself, then they would move on, right? And the other reason why do these Gujar people change the settlement, that the tiger gives a lot of trouble to them, right? It has become a problem for these people to live in the place, right? Because of the attack of the tigers, right, on this human life or their animals, right? These people change their place, they move on, they go to next place, right? Sibia glanced at the Guzu women as she went past. So Sibia glance means looked. She looked at the Guzer women, right, as she went by. They wore trousers. Look at their dress up. They wore trousers just like men, right? They wear pants, tight and wrinkled at the ankles, and they are skin fitting trousers, right? But quite long, because at the ankles they are all wrinkled, they are all folded, they are all creased, right? So this happens when the trouser length is long for your leg, right? And in their ears, large silver rings made out of melted rupees. And look at their custom. What do they wear in their ears? They put silver rings, but these rings are made of melted rupees, right? And one of them was clinking a stick against the big brass guras in which they fetched water from the river for the camp. And what do they carry? These women do carry the guras. Now guras are the earthen pots, right? They are the pitchers. They go to the river to fetch water, to bring water, fresh water for their use at home, right? To see which ones were empty. The men and boys were out of camp just now with the herd or gone to the bazaar to sell produce. So women, they have their own duties, right? Men and the young boys, what do? They go to the bazaar to sell their produce, whatever product they have made themselves. They go to the bazaar and sell them, or some they go with the herd of cattle or the flock of sheep to graze in the jungle areas, right? But one or two buffaloes were standing about, creatures of great wet noses and moving jaws and jaunt black bones. Right now, you see, so some uh, I mean, okay, the buffaloes are okay, just seen here and there grazing. Okay, they are with their great wet noses and moving jaws. They are always munching, chewing, right, chewing the cud, and then jaunt black bones. And they have jaunt. Jaunt means unpleasant, lean and lanky black bones, right? Normally the buffaloes are black in color, right? So this is what here CBS sees when she passed along with the women, right? When she's going to cut the paper grass with her mother. The Gujars were junglis. So no doubt these people, these Gujar are junglis. They are the jungle people, right? As CBA was too, and CBA was also, right? Uh, Jungle girl, born and bred in the forest. She was born in the forest. She was brought up in the forest. Bred means brought up, right? She was born and brought up in the forest, living in the the forest areas with her parents, right? For countless centuries, right? Countless means limitless, right? Uncountable centuries. Their forebears, their forefathers had lived like this. Their forefathers have lived like this. So their custom, their tradition continues in the same way. Getting their living from animals. So they live with animals from grass and trees as they scratch their food together, right? So they live in the support of forest because they have their animals to live with, right? And these animals, they graze in these jungle areas, and these people also to eat whatever products they find in the jungle, and stored their substance in large herds and silvery jewelry. They were men in the wandering pastoral age. Pastoral age refers to the grazing of cattle till that time. So they graze cattle and they live their life. Not Stone Age hunters, but they are not Stone Age hunters. They don't go to forest to hunt animals with the help of stone weapons, right? But they live pastoral life. That means they live the forestry life. They live in the surroundings of the forest. And not yet cultivators, and they are not yet cultivators. That means they are not yet farmers. They don't grow crops in their place, right? Because they are mobile people. They change their settlement. Today they are here, few days they live here, right? And then they again shift their place to somewhere else, wherever they find the facilities according to their need, right? So that is why they are called pastoral age, right? So see, now there was the river. Now talking to one another, they have now reached the riverside. Twinkling between the trees, sunlit beyond dark trunks, they could hear it rushing along. So as they draw near to the river, they can hear the flow of the river, right, which is flowing in between or amid the trees, right. The gurgling sound of the river uh, makes their ears very happy that they are now near to the river, because just after the river they crossed, they reached to the paper hill, right. The women came out on the shore and made for the stepping stones. So they come to the river bank, and now they don't have the breeze to make them cross the river. They have to now step onto the stones and then cross it, right. They had plenty to laugh and bicker about. Bicker means quarrel uselessly, but this is not a serious quarrel that they would lead themselves into fight, right, into blows, nothing like that. So they just chit chat, and in the chit chat they just quarrel, and after all they are women, right, and they simply talk a lot, right. So they had plenty to laugh and bicker about as they approached the river in a noisy crowd. So they come in a group, right, and as they draw near the river they make more sound, they make more noise, right. There is a reason. See, they girded up, right. They girded up means they fastened, right, their skirts. That means they are wearing the long skirts, right. They fold it up and tighten it, right, so as to jump from stone to stone, so as to make them easy for them to jump from one stone to another stone. Since there is no bridge, they have to now cross the river jumping on stone to stone, right. So to make easy themselves to jump from one stone to another, they lift their loose outer garment and tie them in, making it into skirt like, right. And they clanked their sickles and forks together over their shoulders to have ease of movement, you see, right. And they clanked. They clanked means uh, the rattling sound, right. They settle the sickle and forks are the farm tools, which is used to collect the hay, gather the hay, right? Together over the shoulders to have ease of movement, right? So they keep their sickle, right? The cutting, weapon, and then the cut grass to collect into one place to make it into bundle. They use the forks, right? So they keep it on the shoulders back so that it would be easy for them to jump from one stone to another, right? Making their hands free. Now see, they shouted their quarrels about the gush of the river, right? And they shout so loudly, right? Which is more than the gush of the river, the flow sound of the river, so as to, uh, frighten the crocodiles perhaps out there, right? That's why they make a hell of noise, though they don't want to, but they are in need of, right? Noise frightens crocodiles, and exactly this happens, right? When a group of women they come there and then they shout loudly as if they are quarreling, right? The frightened crocodiles, right, don't attack the women as they cross the river. The big mugger here is the freshwater crocodile, did not move, right? It remains constant, it remains motionless, right? Since it is frightened now, and all the women crossed in safety to the other bank. And like this, the group of women they cross the river to the other side. They go to the other side of the river, right? So there's a logic, you see. Why do these women, right, in a group make a hell of a noise? It is to frighten the crocodiles, because they know that in this river where they are crossing it, right, there are muggers, there are freshwater crocodiles, which would be dangerous at any moment when they are crossing the river. So to uh, let these crocodiles not attack them when they cross the river, they make hell of noise, right? The noise frightens the crocodiles. Here, here they had to climb a still hillside to get at the grass. Now, their hard work is not yet over. When they have crossed the river, now on the other side of the river, they have to now climb the hilltop, right? And then see, and the hilltop is also very steep, right? It's a cliff-like, right? But all fell to with a will and sliced away as it wherever there was foothold to be had, right? And wherever they get the foothold to climb on the hill, they climb on it very cautiously, right? If they are little bit careless in climbing, right, and if they are mistimed in placing their foot in the right hole, they will slip and fall down into the river, and you know who is waiting there in the river, right? Down below them ran the broad river. So just down below there is the flowing of the river, right? Pouring powerfully out from its deep narrow pools among the cold cliffs and shadows, spreading into warm shallows lit by kingfishers. And what are there in the river? You see the river that is flowing, right, powerfully, right. Uh, you see, out from its deep narrow pools among the cold cliffs. Cliffs are the hills, steep hills, and shadows of these hills falling into the river, right? Spreading into warm shallows lit by kingfishers. There are kingfishers, right? Great turtles, big sized, right? Turtles are there. The water tortoise, right, is called a turtle, lived there. And masir. Masir is a large tiger-like fish, right? Is also available there, weighing more than 100 pounds. And look at the size of this masir, right? How big is it? It is more than 100 pounds, right? So it's big. uh, I mean, uh, the large, right, tiger like fishes are there, crocodiles too, and there also includes crocodiles. Sometimes you could see them lying out on those slabs of clay over there, but there were none to be seen at the moment. And sometimes these crocodiles do come out of the river, and they are seen having the sun bath, right, on the river bank, right? But today they didn't see anybody, right? They didn't see the crocodiles there at the moment, right? Where Sibia was working, wind coming across hundreds of miles of trees cooled her sweating body, right? So when she has climbed now, when Sibia has also climbed along with the other women, right, to the hilltop to cut paper grass. So when she was also cutting the paper grass along with the women, wind was blowing that traveled hundreds of miles of the trees, and that perhaps cooled her sweating body, right? So her body was sweating because look at the way from where she has walked to reach to this hill, and she could look down over the river as if she were a bird, and from the hilltop, right, she looks down as if she were a bird, right? She looks down at the river, right, perhaps hoping that if she falls there, what would be the consequence of it. Although she did not dare stop for a moment under her mother's eye, her imagination took her in sweeping flight. Sweeping means sudden downward movement, flight over the bright water and golden air to the banks where she had played as a child. So she would be busy, right, cutting the grass, and at the same time sometimes looking at the mother, because after all, mother there, she would also be noticing her child, the girl, right, the daughter, right, and if she is not seen doing her work, the mother would be at least suggesting, right, what she was doing, right. But Sylvia, what she was doing, she was looking down just like a bird, and she perhaps was thinking about her childhood days that she spent right at the foot of this hill, right, because she was too little to climb on the hilltop and to assist her mother in cutting the paper grass. So in those days, she was a small girl playing okay at the foot of this hill, right? So she recalled her moments of those days. In these cavelets are the small caves that are on the banks of the river. Above the high water mark of the highest flood, even the highest flood would come that would not enter into this cave, right? She had stored some little bowls molded of clay while they hardened, right? So what she had done in these caves, she had placed the small earthen made bowls, right? Molded means made up of, right? She had made the bowls of clay, which she had left on this uh, or in these caves in order to get hardened. Right, when the sun rays will fall into these uh, clay made bowls, as the days will passed by, these bowls will become hardened. Right, if there were anything, if there were anything that could be used for coloring, they would look fine painted and marigolds and elephants. And when they have become hardened, when these bowls have become hardened, they are taken back home, right? And then they're at home, the women, right, they color this bowl, right, and they even give the paintings on it. They make beautiful flowers like marigolds. They also make the animals like elephants on this outside of the bowl, right? It looks beautiful, right? So when Sibia was thinking on this, right, she heard somebody called her, right? Child, somebody said, right? The sharp word, the glare of her mother's angry, sweating face pulled Sibia back to work, and they told, right? And who the lady was who made her a call, right? She was her mother, right? The mother was noticing that Sibia was lost in a thought, right? Then the mother shouted at her, child, what are you doing? Right? She showed her angry eyes at her, though she was at a higher altitude to Sibia, right? So she glared at her. The mother glared at Sibia, and Sibia understood that my mother is warning me that I should keep on okay, doing my work. And so she starts cutting the grass, right? And all the women in group, they keep on doing this hard work till they have finished their work, right? But at last it was time to go back to see to their animals and the evening meal. Now it is time, right? The day is passing by, right? The sun is also now going to set, right? And as they see the position of the sun that it is setting, the women all decide now they should go back, because at home also they have a lot of work. They have to feed the domesticated animals. They have to cook the meals for the family. They have to cook the meals for the animals at the same time, right? So a lot of works are still pending. Okay, so the loaded women set out to cross the river again. So they load themselves with the paper grass bundles, right, at their back, right, keeping the sickle and hay fork in their positions in the places. The women carrying the load, now they are back to their home, right? So once again they have to recross the river, right, to go to the other side, right, of their settlement. Okay, so see, Sibia hung back. So when the women all carried their load and started stepping back on the stones to cross it, Sibia was the last one to cross the river, right? She hung back. She hung back means she waited there, right, to let all the women cross the river first. she would just dawdle a bit. So she would just walk slowly a bit. Dawdle means to walk slowly a bit, as if she is showing the other women that she is also in the group and walking together a bit, and run and see if the little clay cups were still there in the cave. So what made her to hang back? She just wanted to check in the caves, right, whether her other made bowls are hardened or not. So if they're found hardened, she would perhaps carry those right back to her home where she would color and paint them. Right? Then she were still there in the cave, waiting to be painted and used, right? So that she can use these bowls in the family. Okay. Although the women were now tired and loaded. Now women are all tired of the hard work that they have done. First of all, they need to cross the river, being very, very cautious, and then again they have to climb on the hilltop to cut the paper grass. They have to make the cut the grass into bundles and again carry them okay as load on their back. So a lot of hard work is needed okay for them to do this, right? So although the women were now tired and loaded, so they are tired, they're exhausted, and still they are carried with the load. They still talk, but when they cross the river, the same procedure is applied here. They have to talk and in a loud voice so as to produce louder noise and frighten the crocodiles, right? So those in front yell to those behind. So those in front who are crossing the river, they yell behind. Yell means they shout, right, to those who are in the back, right? That's right. Even if she doesn't want to, she will have to, because that is the way that they should cross the river. Okay, so quietly if they try to like cross the river, who knows? They may fall, or anyone may fall to the victim. Maybe a victim to the crocodile there who is waiting, right? So see, they crossed the river safely and disappeared off the track into the trees on the other side. So luckily and safely, these women carrying the load, right? They crossed the river. Okay, they have now reached to the other side where their settlement is. Even their voices died away, and as they crossed the river, the voices of the women also lowered, right? Get lower, right? Because now they don't need to talk so loudly like they used to when they were crossing the river, right? The danger is over now. Okay, silence fell, and there is a bit of silence. When the women have finished talking and crossed the river, now the silence is back again. Sibia came down along to the stepping stones. Now it is Sibia who is to cross. Since he was the last one, right, who voluntarily waited for all the women to pass by, she went to check in the cabrets to see whether her other made bowls are hardened or not, so as to carry them back home. Right now it is her turn to now cross the river. Right now it is with a great risk because she is left all alone. Okay, Sylvia came down alone to the stepping stone. She is all alone now crossing the river. Okay, the light of evening was striking up the gorge. Gorge is gully or ravine where there are the two sides the hills, pink into the ultraviolet status because of the setting sun. Right, the sun is now setting. Right, and there is the beautiful color, right, of the setting sun in the western sky. Now that the sun was off it, now the sun is going to sleep, right, is going to set. The water poured almost invisible among the stones, and the water also became now quite difficult for them to know which is stone, where is water, and where is crocodile, if it be there, right? So with no reflection to show where it began, so it is not possible for Sibia to know exactly the running water, right, because the sun is now already setting, right? So everything on the surface look the same, right? So it's not able to distinguish, because if the in the presence of the sunlight the water will glitter, will shine, right? But now the sun is setting, that's why it's very difficult for Sylvia to know where to put the step, where to put the foot now, right? Because he's not able to distinguish the stone, water and crocodile, if the crocodile is there, right? Sylvia stepped onto the first stone, right? So Sylvia carrying the load again, she stepped on the first stone, right? Now what happens, right, when she has stepped on the first stone, right? So let's see, she was heavily weighted. Now she has carried load of cut paper grass, right? She's already a small girl and she's with the load now, and moreover she's all alone. All the women with her mother have already crossed and gone, right? Everybody is thinking that okay, all are together. her muscles stretched and aching. Now her muscles are stretched and is paining also, right? The hay fork, the hay fork is that farm tool which is used to collect the hay, dried grass, right? Squeaked, right? That means it started to keep piercing her where she has kept it. It started piercing her, pinching her now in the packed dry grass, and dug into her collarbones were so close under the skin. So she has placed her hay fork out there with the load. Now, since it was placed in a wrong position, now it is giving a pain to her body near the collarbone. Right? It is paining now. Okay. Now see, in spite of the sari bunched up to make a pant, but she tried to safeguard herself against that pain of the hay fork. She had made the sari, right, hold it into a pad like and had placed so as to avoid the the piercing of the hay fork on her collarbone. Right? When she was halfway over, when she has already stepped to the half of the river, right? She put her load down on a big boulder to rest. She felt that now she could carry no longer, no further. She wanted desperately to take some rest, right? So taking the stone as a support, she then little bit you can say slid herself to rest her load on the stone, right? And leaned, and there she leaned, right? She rested behind, keeping her load on the stone, right? Breathing on the fork, and she was breathing, right? On the fork. On the fork is the fork was kept there and it was spinning, right? Now what happens, right? She is now where on the halfway mark of the river. She has not crossed it, right? She is still right halfway left to cross, right? The rest of the women with the mother have already gone by, right? Thinking that everyone is together, right? Now what happens? There is a suspense for us to know. Okay. Now what happens thereafter, right? Hope the next class will be the final class to complete our chapter, and after that we'll take some notes and we'll move on to the next book. So till then, revise at home. We'll meet again next time. Thank you so much.